Welcome into Straight Up Sports. I am your host, Devin Alberton. Time for the Missouri 8-Man Show of the Week. Time for Week 8. Standings as of right now start the 275 Conference. Mound City undefeated 6-0 in conference play, followed by Southwest Livingston at 6-1. East Atchison at 5-2. Rockport at 4-2. South Holt, Nolly 3-3. DeKalb 2-4. Platte Valley and Stewartsville both at 1-5, and Northwest Nottoway at 0-6 in conference standings. In the GRC, Stanberry at 6-0, Pattonsburg 5-1, Worth County 4-1, King City 2-3, North Andrew 2-3, as well as Albany at 2-3, 0-5 is St. Joe Christian and Bramer. In the Central River Conference, you have Oric at 3-0, Osceola at 1-0, Norborn Hardin Central at 2-1 with North Shelby, Northwest Hughesville at 1-2, and Chillicothe at 0-5 in conference play. That's what you have for your conference standings as of right now. You can find all the rankings that are in the 8-man state at mo8manfootball.com, at mo8manfootball on Twitter, sorry. Mission standings, their top 5 is Stanberry, Mound City, Pattonsburg, Southwest Livingston, and Worth County. Max Preps Power Rankings has Stanberry, Pattonsburg, Mound City, Worth County, and King City. The Maryville Daily Forum, their top 5, Mound City, Stanberry, Pattonsburg, Southwest Livingston, and Worth County. Mine, pretty similar to the first two, Stanberry, Pattonsburg, Mound City, Worth County, and Southwest Livingston, followed by King City, East Atchison, North Andrew, South Holt, Nottoway Holt, and Rockport. That's my top 10. Going through this, Stanberry undefeated. They've been probably the most impressive team I had. I know last week I slid them down to 2 because I didn't think they've been very impressive as of late, but they keep taking care of business. They went on the road, a 3-hour trip to North Shelby, and took care of business over there. Worth County lost. Stanberry gets bumped up to number 1. I have Pattonsburg over Mound City. The win at Worth County is the biggest win this year by any team, I think. And they played with Stanberry for about 3.5 quarters or so before Stanberry pulled away late. That game was also on the road to Pattonsburg. They've been very impressive this year, led by Stephen Wilhite, who is the 8-man player of the year, in my opinion. He's been outstanding. 41 passing touchdowns, 52 total on the year, including his 11 rushing touchdowns. So he's been outstanding. Coach Roberts, as I said in my Week 7 review, has done an outstanding job this season. So Pattonsburg's our number 2 team. Mound City, number 3, they stayed where they were at, 7-0. They went on the road and beat South Holt, Nottoway Holt. We're down at halftime, came out and played a great second half. Dylan Mars, TJ Hopkins kind of leading the way there with Landon Papa to get the win there for Mound City. They're still a very impressive team. Still the front runner to the state championship on that side of the bracket. I think Pattonsburg's been a little more impressive so far than Mound City. Even with that one loss, it was at Stanberry. It's a really tough position to be in there for Pattonsburg. So Mound City, they're at 3. I thought I'd put them at 2, but I decided to go with Pattonsburg this week. Number 4, Worth County at 6-1, losing to Pattonsburg, fell from 1-4. A 20-point loss at home. Don't usually see that at Worth County. I got them this week when they go to North Andrew, a big bounce-back game for them. Number 5, Livingston, 6-1 in the year. I just think they're right now, they deserve to be in that spot. No reason to bump them down. King City at 4 and 3 at 6. I just think right now they are better than some of the other teams that are in the state outside the top 5. And they might be better than Livingston. So we'll kind of see when playoff hits what that I'll take them with. Number 7, East Atchison. They've been rolling ever since that loss to Mound City. They do have on the road at Stanberry this week, so we can kind of see where they match up with the best in the state in that one. Number 8, North Andrew. They've been quietly getting better this year. I know KQ2 has a great story about Logan Hughes, their top running back, with the nearly losing his leg when he was, I think, 4 years old. He's now number 7 in the state in rushing yards with 727 yards rushing. Also has 11 touchdowns, which is tied 9th for the state. You can see all the stats at Mo8manfootball on Twitter. He's been very impressive this year, and after learning about what happened when he was younger, it's even more impressive out of him. But North Andrew almost beat Stanberry 2 weeks ago. They've been quietly going about their business. They have a big game versus Worth County this Friday night. South Holt, Nottoway Holt at 3-4. The only losing team. Keeps a losing record in the top 10. I just haven't been there. I think they're deserving. I mean, they're the only team to lead Mound City at halftime, 20-14 last week at the game. They look very impressive. We'll see going forward. I know they're a little bit banged up. I don't know who all is going to play this Friday for them against at Rockport. It's a tough game for them with a few injuries there, but I think they still have enough talent in the field to possibly get the win there. Rockport, number 10. I thought about dropping out of the top 10 after losing to Livingston last week, but with Oric also getting beat by winless St. Joe Christian, North Shelby losing to Stanberry, the only other team I could possibly put there at 10 would be Albany, and they don't really have any key wins either. So Albany and Rockport are both there, where that kind of 10 spot was a toss-up. I chose to give to Rockport for this week in my power rankings. So that's kind of where I went with it there. And then if you look at the aggregate rankings, which I will use this week for the Mo 8-man football, that's what I'm going to use for the rankings. We have 4 different entities voting on stuff now, so I think that's the fairest way to do it. The aggregate rankings, which will be the Missouri 8-man football rankings. Stanberry 1, followed by Mound City at 2, Pattonsburg 3, Worth County at 4, Southwest Livingston at 5, King City 6, East Atchison 7, followed by North Andrew at 8, Oric at 9, and then South Holt and Nottoway Holt at 10. That's your aggregate rankings there. You can see all that at Mo 8-man football. A couple quick shout-outs for stats. Leading passer in the state is Will Height from Pattonsburg, 2,600 yards pretty much and 41 touchdowns. Leading rusher is Trey Schieber at 1,200 yards and 21 touchdowns, tied with Mac Anderson, who also has 21 touchdowns. Mac has about 1,160 yards rushing, so about 60 yards behind Schieber for the rushing title right now. Leading receiver in the state is Cameron Jones from Pattonsburg at 895. He leads Chamberlain from Northwest Hughesville by about 35 yards. So a pretty close race there for the receiving title. The receiving touchdown title right now is Chamberlain with 15, followed by Jones from Pattonsburg at 12, and Reagan Morris from South Holt Nottoway Holt at 12 as well. And then the total yards title right now being run away by Stephen Wilhite, has 2,900 yards of total offense. So he's number one, followed by Mac Anderson, who's about 550 yards behind him. That's a big gap there for Wilhite. He also has 52 touchdowns this year. Next closest is Anderson with 40. So Wilhite has been a star this year for Pattonsburg. Defensive stat leaders, tackles, Chamberlain from Northwest Hughesville has 89, followed by Dusty Jones from Stewartsville with 87. Tackles for loss, our runaway champ right now is TJ Hawkins from Mound City, 21 tackles for loss, including 5.5 last week at South Holt Nottoway Holt, and again they needed to win. Next closest is Zach Oldham from Stanberry at 11.5 tackles for loss. It's a pretty big gap there for Hopkins. Leading sacks, it's Hopkins at 9, followed by Oldham from Stanberry 8.5. Also Trayton Plummer at 7.5 for South Holt Nottoway Holt. Leading interceptions, tied for first round between Ethan Wilson of Oric and Eric Ottman of South Holt Nottoway Holt, both with 7 apiece. 6 apiece for Matthew Papa from Mound City and Cameron Jones from Pattonsburg. So that's your kind of your individual stat leaders for the state of Missouri. Your top 5 scoring offenses, Pattonsburg at 1 at 63.7 points per game, Mound City at 2, tied with Worth County at 59.4. At 4 is Oric at 56 points per game, and at 5, Stanberry at 55.7. Top 5 scoring defense, Mound City well ahead of the pack, only allowing 8.6 points per game, followed by North Shelby at 16.3, Worth County at 19.4, Oric at 20.3, and Stanberry at 21.1. That's what you have for your top scoring offenses and defenses in the state. If you want to see other top 5s, go to Mo 8-Man Football on Twitter, and you can see the screenshots there for the offensive and defensive ranks in the state. Pretty interesting stuff to kind of see where everybody ranks in the state. 21 teams post their stats. I did not get Oric and Osceola stats for this week, so their stats are delayed about a week. Some of their guys could be a little higher in the offensive stats if they would have posted. I know they have a couple of Seth McAfee, their quarterback. Right now he's 10th in passing, and he's 5th in rushing. Those could go up or down, kind of depending on where his stats are. Also, Blake Buchanan is 10th in rushing as well for Oric. He's only 2 yards behind TJ Hopkins for 9th, so we'll kind of see if they post their stats, if they'll move up at all. Also, McAfee is 6th in total yardage, just behind Northwest Hughesville's quarterback, Teichner. So that's kind of where we're at with Oric. McAfee also tied 5th in touchdowns rushing, tied 10th in passing touchdowns, and tied in 6th overall with total touchdowns. So that's kind of where he's at. Those could definitely go up or down, kind of depending what their stats were against St. Joseph Christian. And finally, let's go to our games for week number 8. We're just going to start from the GRC and go our way through. The game I had, number 4, Worth County at number 8, North Andrew. Worth County 6-1 in the year, North Andrew 4-3. Big game here, as I said, Worth County averaging over 59 points per game. North Andrew just over 46 points per game. Worth County, one of the better rushing attacks in the state, averaging almost 260 yards rushing a game, but North Andrew averaging 333 yards per game on the ground. It's pretty remarkable, but they play a really good Worth County run defense, allowing only 90 yards per game on the ground. They had a tough matchup last week with Pattonsburg, like to throw the ball a lot, not their strength on defense. It's a strength versus strength here, North Andrew's rushing attack versus Worth County's rush defense. And North Andrew's rush defense, no slouch either, only allowing 184 yards on the ground per game. I'm not going to make a pick for that game because I'm calling it. But I think they're a really good football game there between Worth County and North Andrew. North Andrew, much improved from the very beginning of the year. Up next, Albany 3-4 at King City, number 6 in the state, 4-3. Both teams 2-3 in conference play. I think King City gets a win here. They're just a little more explosive on offense. I don't know if they're still banged up or not. I think Moen's back. They kind of got things back rolling. Have won 2 games in a row. I think they're going to get 3 in a row. Get to 5-3 on the year for King City. Next up, Bramer at St. Joseph Christian. Both teams are winless in GRC play. Bramer 0-7 on the year. Christian 1-5 on the year. Christian averaging 15 points per game. Bramer about 11. Both defenses allowing well over 50 points per game. Tough to know what St. Christian's going to bring. They only had 11 kids healthy, but they did beat Oric last week. I'll probably give Christian the nod here just because I think they have things kind of rolling a bit after that win versus Oric. They have some momentum going forward. I think St. Christian gets another win this week over Bramer. At a conference GRC matchup, KC East Christian out of Kansas at Pattonsburg. KC East is 0-6 in the year, allowing 51 points per game, only scoring 7. Not the recipe you want versus Pattonsburg, number 1 scoring offense in the state, averaging almost 64 points per game. Pattonsburg should have the game over by halftime. Pattonsburg should win big over KC East. And then our other GRC out of conference matchup is East Atchison at Stanberry. East Atchison, number 7 in the state, 5-2 on the year at 7-0. Stanberry, number 1 team in the state. Both offenses can put some points up. East Atchison scoring almost 46 points per game. Stanberry scoring almost 56. And Stanberry's offense is humming almost 400 yards of total offense per game, one of the best in the state. They can put some points up, averaging 338 yards on the ground per game this year. East Atchison, of course, led by Bywater and McEnany, both in the top 10 in total touchdowns of the year with 22 and 21 apiece. Bywater slightly ahead in that one. Defensively, both are top 6 in the state. East Atchison 6th at 28 points per game. Stanberry at 5th at 21.1 points per game. I think Stanberry's a little better up front on both sides of the line, so I think Stanberry gets the win here over East Atchison. Should be a decent game, though. I want to see how East Atchison matches up with them a little bit so you can kind of see the 275 GRC, where the teams kind of stand in each conference. Again, Mountain City did roll East Atchison early this year, so I kind of want to see how they roll matchup versus Stanberry to see if it's a closer game back and forth there. We'll stay in the 275 conference. Mountain City undefeated 7-0, number 2 in the state at DeKalb, who's 3-4. DeKalb can put some points up, averaging 37 points per game, but they also allow 41 down at SB versus Mountain City, who's scoring nearly 60 points per game and only allowing 8. Mountain City defense still only allowing 54 yards rushing per game. DeKalb averaging 310 yards on the ground per game. I think Mountain City, though, too good up front. I watched them last week. Walker Ross is a huge person in the middle of that defense for Mountain City. TJ Hopkins is really explosive on the outside. They're just tough to run on. Mountain City gets the win there over DeKalb, probably over by halftime. They're probably angry after last week. Shouldn't have been that close for South Holt Nottoway Holt. Let them hang around a little bit. So Mountain City should come away with a big win there at DeKalb. South Holt Nottoway Holt 3-4 in the year at 4-3. Rockport Spartans are 1 game back in conference standings as well. Both teams can put some points up. Spartans averaging 44 points per game. Rockport averaging 41. But Spartans are allowing 46 points per game. Rockport 36. Going back and forth, we'll see what the Spartans' injuries thing are. I don't know anything about their injuries, so we'll kind of see going forward who they have for Friday night. But I think the Spartans, they're going to get a win here still. I'm still going to pick them over Rockport. It's going to be a tough matchup on the road. It's tough to win in Rockport, but I think Rockport's down a little bit. Taryn Clark should lead the way with Eric Ottman and Reagan Morris in Quinlan. I think South Holt Nottoway just a little bit too much for Rockport this week. So I'm going to give the Spartans a little bit of an advantage there. Also, I don't know if Rockport has anybody up front who can block Trayton Plummer. So that's kind of where I'm at there. Spartans get another win there, go to 4-4 on the year, 4-3 in conference play. Rockport should fall to 4-4, I believe, and go to Mountain City for week number 9. Tough matchup there at Mountain City for the season finale there for Rockport. And then you have Southwest Livingston, 6-1 in the year at 0-7, Northwest Nottoway. This one shouldn't be much of a game. I think Livingston runs away with them. Mac Anderson has a field day versus the Muskets defense. Final 275 conference game, Stewartsville at Platte Valley. Both these teams 1-6, 1-5 in conference play. Pretty even stats-wise across the board. It's pretty much, can Kane Rush get enough going for Stewartsville, or can Dalton Luke lead Platte Valley to a win here? I'm actually going to lead towards Stewartsville a little bit here. I think they're a little better up front. When I've heard about Stewartsville, They got some pretty good-sized kids there. I just don't know if they can keep it rolling. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Should be a fun game to go to, actually, over there in Barnard. But I think Stewartsville squeaks out a win there and goes to 2-6 on the year, 2-5 in conference play. Give me the Cardinals taking down the Longhorns in that one. Then finally, we'll go to the CRC, Oric at Osceola. Oric 6-1, Osceola 1-5. Oric, they're going to win this game. I still think they're very good because of what happened last week. They're probably going to come out and roll in this week after being angry off of last week's loss, but I just don't believe in Oric anymore after losing to St. Joe Christian long term. I think they do win this game versus the Indians of Osceola, though. And then you got Northwest Hughesville at Norborn Hardin Central. Polar opposites on offense. Hughesville throws the ball for about 240 yards per game. Norborn Hardin Central runs the ball for about 265 yards per game. Both don't do the other one very well. Also, Hughesville struggles stopping the run. They have allowed 319 yards rushing per game this year. Give me the Aggies of Norborn Hardin Central to roll in this one over Hughesville. Hughesville struggled to put away Northwest Nottoway last week. Barely won that game in the final minute. So give me Norborn Hardin Central taking down Northwest Hughesville and probably a rout in that one. But Hughesville can score, so they might be able to keep it close there just because they can put a lot of points up on the board, but they can't stop Norborn Hardin Central. And finally, Milford Krishna Park, Illinois, #1 team in Illinois, 8-man at North Shelby. Look at these two teams and some of the teams they faced. I'm actually going to go with North Shelby on this one. I know Milford is the #1 team in Illinois, but I think North Shelby is a better team. I think based on who they've played, they match up better. I think they are kind of know where they're at now in the state after losing to Stanberry last week. They did go the full game. They could have been called early, but they didn't want to because they traveled 3 hours. You might as well play the full game. I think North Shelby with Coach Bass over there will have enough to take down the #1 team in Illinois. Give me the Raiders in this one, 5-2 in the year. Go to 6-2 and set up a big matchup with Oric in week number 9 for the CRC title. As if North Shelby can knock them off, it'd be a 3-way tie for that conference title with Norborn Hardin Central, North Shelby, and Oric. I think North Shelby beats Milford in this one. Milford struggled a bit with Judah Christian, and North Shelby took care of them, I believe, earlier this year fairly easily. I'm going to look that up real quick, but I'm pretty sure North Shelby played them and came away with a pretty good, easy win in that one. I'm going to look it up here real quick. But I do like North Shelby's doing. I don't think they have quite the horses like we saw last week. They can contend with a Stanberry of sorts, but once this loads a little bit here. Yeah, so that's what I kind of think for going into this week. Yes, they did play. Yeah, they didn't, but still, I just think maybe it was Oric who played Judah Christian. They smoked them. So Judah Christian's not very good. And Milford struggled with them just a little bit. So give me North Shelby to pull off the upset there in some sorts over Milford, Krishna Park out of Illinois. So North Shelby gets a big win there, try to make a push for a playoff spot in District number 3. And we'll go through districts real quick because we're getting the last couple weeks of the regular season. So these are more important than any other rankings we can put out there. It's the district standings. District 1, Stanberry at 1, followed by Worth County, East Ashton, Rockport, Albany, Northwest Nottoway. If the regular season ended right now, Stanberry and Worth County would get byes. East Ashton would host Northwest Nottoway again, and Rockport would host Albany. In District number 2, you'd have Mountain City and North Andrew with byes. Southwold Nottoway Holt would host Platte Valley, and DeKalb would host St. Joe Christian. District number 3, it'd be Pattonsburg and Southwest Livingston getting byes. North Shelby would host Bramer, and King City would host Stewartsville. And in District 4, the first round matchup would be Osceola at Chilla. Well, maybe Osceola hosting Chillicothe. Winner that game would play Oric, with Norborn Hardin Central and Northwest Hughesville playing in the second round. So that's kind of what the district standings look like right now. This, of course, can change quite a bit as you have Worth County Stanberry playing next week. Rockport still has 2 tough games left, as do Albany, so those two could possibly switch home field. You never know there as well. Also, East Ashton has a chance this week. They can knock off Stanberry and throw the hat in the ring for a bye week there in District number 1, depending on what happens with that final game between Stanberry and Worth County. Because it's not another question for East Ashton. If they can upset Stanberry this week and Worth County upsets Stanberry, that will push Stanberry down to the 3 spot, I believe, in that district. East Ashton could get a bye. Probably hopeful thinking. I think Stanberry wins that game, but East Ashton's still in the running for a bye in District number 1. District 2, I think the bye is going to be Mountain City, North Andrew. I don't think Southwold Nottoway Holt can catch North Andrew in the standings unless they possibly win the next 2 weeks, and then North Andrew Of course, they have to lose to Worth County this week. They probably have to lose again to Bramer. I don't think it's going to happen. So I think North Andrew's going to get that 2 seed, so it could be difficult for the Spartans to jump them for that second spot. And of course, I think DeKalb's pretty much situated there at 4. Then Christian and Platte Valley can flip 5 and 6 depending on what happens over the next 2 weeks. And then District 3 is kind of a mess because Pattonsburg and North Southwest Livingston are both about 2 points from each other, so it's pretty close to that number 1 seed. I think Pattonsburg wins it. And then North Shelby and King City for that 3 and 4 spot. Kind of depends what happens with North Shelby at Oric in week number 9. King City's tough games are kind of behind them, so they should be able to pick up a couple wins versus Christian and Albany these next 2 weeks, though Albany is no slouch. And Stewartsville should get the 5 spot, Bramer the 6 spot in District 3. So that's kind of where we're at with district standings. Hope everybody enjoyed the show. I will be at North Andrew this week for Worth County at North Andrew. A pretty good matchup between those 2 teams this week. Make sure you catch it on 95.9 FM. Thanks to everybody who listened to the Week 7 review show. I'm going to see if I can do that again this week. I get home in time, record another one of those on a live Periscope, and enjoy that as well. Have a fun time. It's reacting what had just happened. Last week was kind of crazy with Oric going down and some of the craziness happened over at Oregon, Missouri. So that's where we're at. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I will see you Friday night on either Pickup Country KNIM 95.9 or on the Week 8 review show. Everyone have a good Friday as it's time for Week 8 of Missouri 8-Man football on Straight Up Sports.